Won't you please come join me for some midnight therapy? Ladies and gentlemen, Merry Christmas. This is but another episode of Midnight Therapy. I'm your host, Kat Matthews. Want to say Merry Christmas to everyone. We made it. It is Christmas Eve, the eve of the eve here in the studio. You should get this Christmas Eve. You may get it Christmas Eve morning. What a treat. This is my gift to you, the final episode before Christmas. It came quick this year, as it always does, and what a beautiful time of the year. I'm feeling very festive. My brother-in-law AJ was in with his wife and child, the new baby, and they're living with us. They left. They were living with us. Now they're going to see other family, and they're going to come back. And it was actually fun. It felt like Christmas Vacation, the Lampoons. It felt like it was a nice big house full of people and energy and fun, and it was nice. And that spirit's in the air in our house, so that's good. Here's what I'm going to do today. We're going to have a quick episode. I know you're all very busy, but I know you need your midnight therapy. So I'm doing this for you. But I'm going to talk to you about some things I've been reflecting on. I'm thinking a lot about this festive season. I'm going to do a little current events recap, and then I'm going to tie it all up. I'm going to weave it in to a lesson. That's going to be the therapy session today, if you're interested. Let's jump in. I don't believe that anyone in their right mind really believes that this time of year is about the shopping and all the commercial crap. It is exhausting. I'm tired of it. Trying to figure out what people want is almost a fate worse than death. Thinking about what someone may want, even though most of the people you're buying for are adults that have their own money and free will, and they could buy whatever they want, whenever they want. But you, one time out of the year, have to come up with the perfect gift and spend a good amount of money on impressing them with this one reveal. And there's wrapping paper on it, and everybody's looking, and they open it, and they go, oh, I don't like that anymore. I feel like that's for kids. It's fun for kids because kids aren't jaded by the world yet. They don't have their own money. They have no idea where gifts come from. So it's shocking to them. They're like, oh my gosh, a Little Bill action figure doll, which I actually had as a kid. I had a Little Bill doll. I loved that Little Bill doll. And I had no idea that Bill Cosby roofied people, because you don't know when you're young. You don't know that he was putting, things in people's drinks. Zip, zop, zoom, the bop. You didn't know, and that's fine, But when you're a kid, you don't know. You don't know that your Peppa Pig dollhouse was purchased, by your parents or someone with money that they earned from their job that they hate, and they wrapped it, in the middle of the night when they wanted to be in bed. They don't know that. They also don't know that it came from like a sweatshop in China, that some younger person against their will was forced to put together the Peppa Pig playhouse. And it came over here on a shipping container that we paid tariffs on. So that magic is fun for children, but for adults, come on. If you want socks, go buy socks. I don't have to buy you socks. I shouldn't have to. So that's a little annoying. I had my fill of the gift buying in the stores and the Amazon and the money and the draining of the account. I don't love that. I also don't like the music as much. Now here's why. I love the music, okay? I love Christmas music, but like I said, I can't really enjoy anything because I'm always like, what's going on here? Um, have you noticed that this is the only time out of the whole year they play music from 70 years ago? Like, you will never on a July summer day hear Bing Crosby on the radio in 2025 or Burl Ives. Yet there's some reason that these songs are so nostalgic and ingrained into our idea of Christmas that they're playing these songs that came out in the 1940s on repeat, with a few exceptions. You know, you got the Springsteens, those two he has, Merry Christmas Baby and the Santa Claus is Coming to Town. You got the Mariah Carey. Once in a while, you get that Christmas Shoes, sad one. But for the most part, the songs are like pre 1960. Sounds like you're listening to an old radio. Why is that? You ever think about that? And I had enough, I think. I think I've had enough. Considering, I wrote a Christmas song. I have an original Christmas song. It's hard to write an original Christmas song. Most people just do covers. They do their rendition of a already popular Christmas song. But I wrote an original. It's called Snow on a Christmas Morning. Check it out. But that'll never make it on the big radio. But it made it on WILK local radio. Bob Cadaro, thank you for playing that, Bob. Good friend. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. And also these claymations. I ranted about this last year, but they like gatekeep those from us. Like they don't let you watch it. It comes on like one time. It's a time that your grandmother knows or your mother. She'll be like, Rudolph will be on ABC at 8 o'clock. And if you don't watch it, then you'll never see it. And I'm like, why is this still like this? We have streaming. Streaming is a scam. Remember when streaming first came out? They're like, you don't have to watch commercials anymore. You just watch when you want. Now there's more commercials on streaming than there was cable. Like we pay for it. Like, oh, it's on Hulu. Good. We click it, and it's like an 8-minute ad about an antidepressant for the antidepressant you're already taking that isn't working well enough. While a family eats a Reuben on a picnic. I'm just trying to watch Frosty. So I'm a little, I'm a little over it. But I will say the two greatest Christmas movies that you should watch, and I'm going to weave this back in, so get ready. Is of course A Christmas Carol, whatever version, the Muppets, the Bill Murray, the 80s one, the 50s one, the Disney animated one, whatever one you want. They're all good. Watch it and learn from it. And most importantly, the greatest movie of all time, in my opinion, It's a Wonderful Life. Not going to go on the rant again, but the messages from that movie, the concept is more important than ever today. So if you haven't and you're watching this show right now, take my advice, watch one or both of those movies and try to harvest that lesson and hang on to it the whole year, not just on Christmas, forever. See, when things happen, like a traumatic experience or near death experience or anything like that, the message is usually very potent and then it dissipates over time. You want to hang on to it forever. This is also a Christian teaching, If you could hang on to how you feel around Christmas time and related to Christianity and Easter time, the whole year you will probably be a better person. Unfortunately, people kind of they do the Creaster thing. They're a good person during Christmas. They're a good person during Easter, but then the rest of the year, not the best. So I would say that we need these Christian lessons and Christ in general more than ever now. Here's why. We live in an evil world. We really do. And a lot of people become Scrooge and a lot of people become George Bailey. George Bailey, obviously, being the character in It's a Wonderful Life that lost his way due to the stresses of life and decided to turn it on himself. blamed himself, wanted to take his own life. Scrooge, some of you may be him. Some people are like him that become jaded and hate everything and turn inward and only focus on personal success or ego and maybe even wish for the demise of others and are filled with hate all the time. There are many of these characters. There's nothing new under the sun. Some people have read this story before again and again and again. It's the same story, applied to different people, applied to different times, and applied to different situations. Unfortunately, I don't think three ghosts are going to visit everyone that needs them. And I don't think an angel is going to show you what your life would be like if you were never born. You sort of have to visualize that on your own. You know, the story, like many stories in the Bible, is meant to act as a guideline for you to apply using critical thinking to your own life and others. You don't want to be ignorant and jaded and say, well, that never happened to me. So you kind of have to visualize it as if it were to happen to you, how you would react and maybe reflect and have a different outlook. That's the whole point of, thinking critically. Now I talked about an evil world. There's many other archetypes of evil that aren't Scrooge and George Bailey. There's people that are lost and angry and warped and frustrated, and they take it out on others. For example, I'm going to do the current events thing here. Rob Reiner. Not going to get into it fully. You know what happened. I don't have to beat a dead horse and be a broken record. He was brutally stabbed and murdered to death alongside his wife by his own son in their own house. Now, that is it's a blatant example of evil, It's what could happen. It's what could happen when you stop communicating, and it's what could happen when you don't reflect and when you don't do these lessons and think about things and what we're throwing away and what we're doing and how lost we are and if we want to be found or not. And that's just a reminder. Now, two wrongs don't make a right. Obviously, you heard Trump's comments about that. Now, that's whether you like it or not, whether you want to hear this or not, that's not a Christian response to make it about you and to be, let's say, vengeful, to be braggadocious, to make it about you. That's not a great response. But does this shock anyone? Is it shocking that Trump acted that way? Is it shocking that Trump acted inappropriate, immoral? This is the guy's brand, and it's always been his brand. He's a shock value guy. And he's never been a great role model. I don't know where people are getting this from. It's the nature of the snake to bite. Don't be surprised when it does. But Trump has always been that way. And I don't see him changing anytime soon. Here's what's crazy, though. The Trump derangement syndrome they talk about has some credibility. People are specifically infatuated with Donald Trump, for better or for worse, whether you love him or you hate him. And it is odd. I think Trump is all the bad attributes of human nature blatantly apparent. And people don't like to see the veil lifted like that because I think Trump is very similar to a lot of people out there. But I think a lot of people have to hide it to maintain, I guess, social perception. But they wish they could say whatever they wish and talk poorly on others without backlash. But seeing Trump do it, they're jealous and they hate that he's able to do that. People don't like seeing themselves. Humans, like, we don't like seeing ourselves. When we do, it's like there's a reaction to that. And I think a lot of people see themselves in Trump, and that's why they hate Trump so much. Now, again, I'm not justifying his actions. I think they're completely wrong. As a Christian, I wouldn't do any of the things he does regarding gloating when someone he didn't like dies. So I'm not a hypocrite. And I have a moral compass. But what's interesting is if we're going to play into this game of left and right, you saw the left do the same thing when Charlie Kirk died. So these people on the left that may have liked Rob Reiner or aligned with his politics are now outraged that Trump, let's say, mocked his death, his brutal death. And that's not funny. That's too far. Yet when Charlie Kirk was shot in the neck, I heard many compassionate, tolerant liberals on the left bask in the glory that someone they didn't like was taken out. Now, either you're a good person all the time or none of the time. You shouldn't pick and choose when you are a good person depending on circumstances. That becomes a problem. That's why you don't want to live in these echo chambers. You don't want to live where there's no empathy and there's no compassion. You want empathy, you want compassion, you want honor, you want humility. Pride is actually quite dangerous. Yet you hear a lot of people saying that pride is the most important thing. It isn't. But I do see a lot of hypocrisy here. The left outraged that Trump made a comment about Rob Reiner that was distasteful, but they themselves made several distasteful comments about Charlie Kirk, and their defense was, well, he didn't like me and I don't like him. And he spewed hate. And then what do you think Trump's response would be about Rob Reiner? It'd say, well, I didn't like him and he didn't like me and he had a lot of hate for me. So that's why I said what I said. Do you see how the two wrongs don't make a right? And that if you wish to combat something you find to be evil, you have to be good, not more evil. Let's look at the Vanity Fair thing. I find this very funny too. The Vanity Fair photo shoot, the photo that stole the show was the extremely zoomed in Caroline Levitt photo. Everybody body shaming her, age shaming her, to use the words of the left, the terms of the liberals. They were zooming in on her lips. They were calling out lip filler. They're saying she looks so old. She doesn't look 27. And you know who's saying most of this? Liberal women, who are supposed to be the party or the organization or the ideology of supporting women and fighting for women and standing up for women and hearing women and believing all women and building up women, fat women, ugly women. All women are equal to the tolerant left. So you would think, as long as their beliefs perfectly align with what the ideology currently is subscribing to, and each and every talking point of it. If you have 9 out of the 10, it's still not enough. You could say, well, I support everything you say, but I don't think men should play in women's sports. They'll say, get out of here, you Trump bigot. That's what's hilarious. But what happened to the women supporting women thing and building up other women and loving women? The only comments I've seen that were disgusting, horrible comments were from liberal women saying, look at the lip filler. She looks disgusting. She looks old. Look at those wrinkles. This woman is the ugliest. Like, I can't believe the hypocrisy. Actually, I could. I just saying, when you say it out loud, especially this time of year, this Christmas giving, kind, empathetic time of year, you see the tolerant left being the most hateful in the room. This is on both sides. This is all over. This is everywhere. And it's not left or right or this or that. It's good and evil. You pick which one you want to be. Very simple. Now, the Trump administration, we're going to touch on them very briefly. Not super thrilled with them if you've been watching the show. Trump addressed the nation last week. Seemed very, very much like he was teasing a war of some sort. He's giving a Christmas bonus, 1776, to military service members. Seems like that's a little incentive. Hey, use your bonus, get ready for war. It's disappointing. The whole administration is disappointing. To reflect on this year, with the president. If you look at his inner circle, Kash Patel, he's proven to be clueless. He's going on podcasts with his barely even relevant country singer girlfriend. This guy's supposed to be in charge of the FBI. RFK had his moment where he said Tylenol caused autism and then redacted that the next day. Bongino stepped down. He's going back to podcasting. Supposed to be the deputy director. It's insane. He got mad over the Epstein thing and quit, apparently. Elon with Doge, that was short lived. See, I want to remind you this past year because so much happens, people forget. That's, here's your reminder. It's not going so hot. And speaking of these Epstein files, very disheartening. Very much proves my point that it is all of them. It is every one of them. Doesn't matter what side you're on. That is probably the most disappointing thing about this year in politics, and most importantly, the Trump administration, the second Trump administration. These are blatant, deeper spiritual problems we're having. This is beyond corruption. This is some sick stuff. The photos that were released were pretty telling. Michael Jackson, Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, Steve Bannon, all these people and these disgusting images. And if you haven't seen them, you can look at them if you want. I've seen enough. And no matter what anyone says, it doesn't look good. If you're at the guy's house in his swimming pool and you're partying with him, and there's problems with that because you know what the guy's about. And I could see, okay, you're in public, a couple photos here and there, but for the ones that were always at his house, on his plane, around his inner circle, come on. You are who you hang out with. We tell teenage kids that, yet a full-grown adult that has this much influence on the population and celebrities and high-ranking officials didn't know that lesson? Okay. Sure, I'll believe it. The Epstein files, however, were not as telling as the photos. They were, how do I put it? Completely blacked out. Like a drunk guy at a Christmas party, completely blacked out. Like Mad Elves, drinking those Mad Elves. We've all been there. But no, the files showed nothing. It's just pages of black squares. And you want to believe that this is truly transparency and that the government cares and they want us to know and they're really going to release these files? Give up. They're not going to. For a plethora of reasons. It's a stage. This is the world stage. You're watching a play. You're not in it, but you're watching it. They give you the illusion of choice in every section of your life, whether it's the Burger King, the McDonald's, the Democrat, the Republican, the Disney, or the Paramount, or whatever, But it's all the same shit. You just have the illusion of choice. It gives you the idea that you have stake in the game and you keep getting up and going to work. You keep playing in the system. It's the cheese in the rat race, in the maze. It's a reason to keep looking. You could keep looking for meaning your whole life. You're never going to find it, not on this earth. You'll find it within. But you're not going to find any meaning from this place and these figures and these institutions. It's all corrupt. You have psyops, planned opposition, agent provocateurs. You have all of this. Ideological subversion, all of it. They're all on the same team, just so you know. Which brings me to my next point. Candace Owens and Erica Kirk met up, and now they're best buddies. So as I said many times, I'm not going to keep going on how I was right, but the whole thing with Candace was a farce. There was no evidence, but she brought up some good points, so I'll give her credit there. The good point she brought up was that there was definitely something suspicious about Charlie Kirk's death. That's to the good. To the bad was telling everyone that you had the answers to the question that you brought up when you really didn't, and you just strung gullible people along for a ride. That's all. That's the only bad thing I have to say. You were a bit of a grifter, whatever. Now you're best friends with Erica Kirk. You met up with him. You're still trying to keep it going. That is classless, and it's very distasteful. and insulting. Erica Kirk, I have no idea what to say about her. She doesn't seem like a real person. She seems like an actress. Um, Turning Point USA had this America Fest that was the most cringiest, oddest thing I've ever seen in my life. You have Erica Kirk, the grieving widow of Charlie Kirk, coming out to pyrotechnics on a big stage with a glitter suit and a high pony, talking with Nicki Minaj, the forced cookie cutter archetype female trash rapper, same category as Cardi B and SZA and Megan Thee Stallion and all this other trash. They're like the same cookie cutter people, just they rebrand them every couple of years. But Nicki Minaj is like 3 models ago. She's like the iPhone 7. So she's not quite as relevant in the trash world. You know what I'm saying? Like Kamala Harris paid for, I believe, Megan Thee Stallion or Cardi B or one of them to twerk on stage. And that was probably a high ticket one because she's like the iPhone 15. They're on like the iPhone 18. I don't even know who it is because I don't pay attention to crap like that. But Nicki Minaj was one of the first of that crap archetype, the brain rot, you know? But they got her wearing a big black wig all the way down to her ankles, and she's sitting in a chair across from Erica Kirk, and they're now, telling you that Nicki Minaj is the wholesome, modest, conservative role model of women in the Republican Party. Now, Charlie spoke about her when he was alive and didn't have the best things to say about her. He said she's not a good role model. Now Erica Kirk is saying how much she loves her and she's a woman of God and she knows her. Okay. Okay. They also did a little bit of a revelation of the method thing where she, whatever you want to call what this was, I don't have any answers. All I know is I know nothing. I'm just a cowboy in the basement. But she said she called Trump handsome and stunning, and it's very weird propaganda. But then she said JD Vance was handsome and stunning, and that's shocking in and of itself because I don't think he is. But she then went on to say the assassin JD Vance. She called him the assassin right in front of Erica Kirk, and then they kind of laughed about it on stage, and the NPCs in the audience were clapping because when the sign says clap or applause, everyone does it. That's how Jimmy Kimmel gets claps. That's how Ellen gets claps. It's all NPCs. It's sheep in the background. But they clapped when she called J.D. Vance the assassin. You could say bad choice of words. You could say joke. You could say it's modern new lingo, like a slang term of the kids, calling someone an assassin, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't look good. Maybe it's saying something. No karma if you tell everyone. Revelation of the method. JD Vance stinks in the way that something is up. There's definitely something about JD Vance that's off. I said that from the very beginning. I was always critical of him. He came out of nowhere, changed his name a million times. He had this good story. He was a freshman senator, and in little to no time, he became the vice president under Trump, who JD hated and publicly spoke very poorly about for many years. He has little tech money. He's tight with Vivek and Peter Thiel of Palantir way before he became the vice president. Got a lot of money put into his campaign from Palantir, which is now very high up in the Trump administration. They're setting the stage for this guy because he is a empty vessel. He's vapid. He's a talking head, and that's just about it. Whoever pays the most controls the robot. No pun intended. You got Peter Thiel talking about the Antichrist and making Palantir an AI database that tracks everyone. Like, it doesn't look good. And to tie it all back, JD Vance was on the plane with Charlie Kirk's body. I don't know if anyone knows that, but look that up. One of the first people to see that dead body. Little odd. Him and Erica shared a very weird hug on stage at the first carnival attraction joke that exploited Charlie Kirk's death with the fireworks. And Erica Kirk spoke, but Trump spoke last. I don't know if you remember when Trump talked about Charlie Kirk, he talked about him for one sentence, if that, and then talked about his ballroom and the gold. And don't forget about that. Here to remind you. But yeah, you know how it is now. Erica Kirk, totally normal. That's how people grieve. Nicki Minaj is the wholesome modern conservative, and all the people will believe that. Um, what's funny is Erica Kirk goes around telling everybody to get married young and have kids, yet she's never home with her children. She's on a tour of podcasts and events like this, selling books with perfect makeup and hair done like a celebrity, like a Hollywood movie star, because they are. They all are movie stars. They're all actresses. They're all plants. It's all fake. You know this. If you had a partner, if that was your husband, do you think you'd be gallivanting around doing this when he was dead? No. Normal people don't do that. Normal people grieve for years. Some people don't leave their house. This girl's wearing rings and a gold dress the next day. Don't believe anything. I don't. Erica Kirk made Candace Owens so nuts she's like Alex Jones now. But I think Erica saved it. Like, we're gonna Alex Jones you, unless you come join us. You want to do a Turning Point event? You want to speak at Turning Point? She probably will. Put that on your bingo card. But the moral of my point of this rant, to tie it all back in, is I said this term before. I say it a lot. There are a lot of malicious shepherds out there, meaning they are leading the sheep in the wrong direction. They have ill intent for you. We are all sheep in this world. That's not a negative thing. It's not a negative thing. I know people use it negatively, but for this example, view it as just the way it is. We're all sheep, and we all get led into certain areas, and we all flock together. We have our groups, we have our intersections. We know where we hang out, we know who we like. There's some black sheep that don't really fit in with the crowd. But most importantly, there are shepherds leading you certain directions. There are also wolves in sheep clothing. Let's say false prophets. I need you to understand how potent these things are. The Bible is a beautiful thing, and the words of Jesus are a beautiful thing. And how he spoke in parables, and how it's kind of confusing and not super straightforward, but it transcended time because it's up to the perception of the reader to understand what it meant. He's known, Jesus is known as the Good Shepherd. Do you think that's just randomly the case? Or do you think that means something? The Good Shepherd. And what does that mean? I'm going to tell you what it means. There's only one person you could follow that won't disappoint you. There's only one person to follow that's not trying to get something out of you, that's trying to take advantage of you. There's only one Good Shepherd. And it's Jesus, and you know this. If you don't know it, you will one day. But I'm telling you, I know it now. Everyone I looked up to on this earth has disappointed me, and I'm certain that everyone I look up to on this earth will, if they haven't already. Don't worship these people. If anything, hold their ideas. Like I said last episode, cherry pick a few ideas here and there and make your own. But don't put these people on a pedestal. They're all liars at the top. The world stage is completely corrupted, and they want you to constantly stare at it. They want you to watch it all burn. They want you to watch the freak show. I'm telling you to step away and not. Goes back to my Elvis analogy. We know what happens to Elvis, yet we all still want to be Elvis anyways. Why? You know he's going to overdose on the toilet. And you're like, oh, but I could be a rock star. You're missing the point. They are doing everything for a reason, and it's the wrong reason. The more you look at that crap, the more you get on those rabbit holes, the more you're going to realize it leads to nothing. There's only one thing that leads to something, and I truly believe, in my opinion, that it's the teachings of Jesus Christ. If you can keep that energy from A Christmas Carol and Scrooge and It's a Wonderful Life and George Bailey all year, and keep in mind that this life is a gift and that life is corrupt, but it doesn't matter as long as you have yourself. Don't lose yourself out there. and learn what you believe and do the right thing and stay positive, if you could keep that all year, why do we have to focus on the nonsense of these malicious shepherds? Why do we have to? We don't. It's Christmas. I want you to spend time with your family. I don't want any political fighting this year at Christmas. I want more forgiving, less fighting. That's my advice. That's my remedy. That's my prescription to you is you could watch, you could stay informed, you could learn about this, but I'm telling you, it probably all leads to corruption. I don't think there's a single person that isn't compromised. And the minute you think, finally, someone that isn't compromised, turns out they're compromised too. If you're seeing them and they're on the world stage, they're compromised. And if they aren't, they will be soon or they will disappear. Don't let it disgust you. Don't let it put out your light. Still be the light. Little steps. One life touches so many. The decisions we make in this life echo in eternity. You get what you deserve. If that horrifies you, you need to change your ways. If that makes you feel comfort, you're doing something right. That is my lesson to you this Christmas. I want you to let go of the nonsense and focus on what's important, whatever that may be to you. Whatever that may be to you. I wish all of you a Merry Christmas. I can't tell you how much it means to me that we're over 100 subscribers. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you for a great year. I'm going to spend a lot of time reflecting. I'll be back after Christmas, of course. I hope you all have a great holiday. Spend time with family. Have a good time. And again, thank you for watching always. This episode is brought to you in part by Jack's Pub and Eatery, Three Saints Barber Shop, located in historic downtown Jessup, Pennsylvania, Tusk, Scranton, and finally, Ricardo Jewelers. God bless you all. Thank you for watching. Please have a great Christmas. As always, stay curious, my friends. Good night.